You say sorry for things that aren't your fault, for existing in a room, for speaking when someone else was about to speak, for needing something, for feeling something. You apologize for taking up space, for being inconvenient, for being human. And you don't even notice you're doing it anymore. It's automatic, reflexive, like flinching before anyone raises their hand. This isn't politeness. This isn't kindness. This is a confession you've been making your entire life for a crime you never committed. And somewhere, buried beneath all those apologies, is the real question you've been asking since childhood. Am I allowed to exist without making someone upset? Let's go back to the original crime scene. The place where you first learned that your presence was a problem. Maybe you grew up in a house where anger was always simmering just below the surface, where you learned to read the room before entering it, where you measured your words, your volume, your needs against the emotional temperature of everyone around you. You became an emotional meteorologist, predicting storms so you could shrink before they arrived. Or maybe it was quieter than that. Maybe no one yelled. Maybe no one hit you. Maybe it was just the look on your mother's face when you asked for too much. The sigh your father made when you interrupted. The way love felt conditional, like you had to earn it by being easy, undemanding, invisible. You learned that your emotions were burdensome, that your needs were inconvenient, that the safest version of you was the one that required nothing and apologized for everything. So you became small. You became sorry. You learned to apologize before anyone could be upset with you. A preemptive strike against rejection, a way to control the uncontrollable. And it worked. People called you sweet, agreeable, easy to be around. No one knew you were performing a disappearing act every single day. Inside, you're running calculations constantly. Did I say that wrong? Did I upset them? Should I have stayed quiet? You replay conversations like interrogation tapes, searching for evidence of your guilt, finding it even when it doesn't exist. Your nervous system is stuck in a state of chronic apology, always braced for accusation, always preparing your defense. You feel guilty for things that haven't even happened yet, for hypothetical inconveniences, for thoughts you didn't say out loud. You carry an invisible case file of every time you might have been too much, too loud, too needy, too present. And the prosecutor in your mind never rests. You apologize to the waiter when your food is wrong, to the friend who canceled on you, to the person who bumped into you. You say sorry when you cry, when you're hurt, when someone crosses your boundary. You say sorry for having boundaries at all. And the most damaging part is that you believe you deserve to apologize, that your existence is inherently disruptive, that the world would be easier if you just required less, felt less, needed less. This is what psychologists call hyperresponsibility, a trauma response where you take ownership of other people's emotions, reactions, and comfort at the expense of your own. It's a survival mechanism born from environments where you were blamed for things beyond your control, where you were made responsible for adult emotions when you were still a child, where keeping the peace meant erasing yourself. Your body learned that conflict equals danger, that someone else's discomfort equals your failure, that if someone is upset, it must be your fault, and if it's your fault, you must fix it immediately by apologizing, by shrinking, by making yourself smaller until the threat passes. So you became the emotional janitor of every space you entered, cleaning up tension that wasn't yours, absorbing blame that didn't belong to you, apologizing for weather patterns in other people's internal worlds. And over time, this pattern hardens into identity. You don't just apologize too much. You believe you're the apology, that your worth is measured by how little trouble you cause, how easy you are to love, how much you can tolerate without complaint. You've spent so long managing other people's emotions that you've forgotten you're allowed to have your own. You become so good at reading the room that you've forgotten how to be in it authentically. You don't know who you are when you're not accommodating someone else, when you're not diffusing tension, when you're not making yourself small enough to fit into someone else's comfort zone. Here's the evidence you've been avoiding. Every time you apologize for something that isn't your fault, you're reinforcing the belief that you don't deserve to take up space, that your needs are negotiable, that your feelings are less important than everyone else's comfort. You're teaching people that they can dismiss you, interrupt you, disrespect you, and you'll apologize for their behavior. You're training the world to treat you like you're optional. And the cruelest part is that you're doing it to yourself. No one is forcing you to say sorry anymore. The people who conditioned you might not even be in your life. But the pattern remains. The flinch remains. The belief that you're inherently too much and somehow not enough at the same time. You apologize because somewhere deep inside, you still believe that your existence requires permission. That you need to earn your place in every room, every relationship, every conversation. That if you're not constantly proving your worth through accommodation, people will see the truth that you're a burden. Except that's not the truth. That's the lie that was planted in you when you were too young to question it. When you were blamed for things that weren't your fault. When you were punished for having needs. When you learned that love was something you had to purchase with silence and apology. This is costing you everything. Your boundaries, your self-respect, your ability to be loved for who you actually are instead of who you pretend to be. You're so busy apologizing for existing that you've forgotten how to exist fully. You've built relationships where people expect you to absorb their bad moods, their carelessness, their lack of consideration, because you've never held them accountable. You've attracted people who take advantage of your over-apologizing, who know you'll back down, who know you'll blame yourself before you ever blame them. And the loneliest part is that even when people love you, you don't believe it. Because how can they love you when they don't even know you? When the version of you they see is always accommodating, always shrinking, always sorry. You've never given anyone the chance to love the real you, the one who has needs, who takes up space, who doesn't apologize for breathing. You've been so afraid of being rejected for who you are that you've rejected yourself preemptively. You've done their job for them. So what now? How do you stop apologizing for existing? You start by recognizing that this pattern isn't personality, it's conditioning. It's a survival response that made sense when you were young, when you were dependent on people who made you feel like your needs were a burden, who made you responsible for their emotional regulation, who taught you that love was something you had to earn through self-erasure. But you're not that child anymore. You're not dependent on those people. You don't have to shrink to survive. You can take up space without apologizing for it. You can have needs without feeling guilty. You can say no without saying sorry. This is the work. Learning to distinguish between actual wrongdoing and simply existing as a human being with needs, feelings, and boundaries. Start noticing when you apologize. Count them. Write them down. See how many times a day you say sorry for things that don't require apology. For asking a question. For having an opinion. For needing someone's time. For being in someone's way when they walked into you. Then practice the pause. When you feel the apology rising in your throat, stop. Ask yourself, did I actually do something wrong? Or am I just afraid of taking up space? Did I harm someone? Or did I just exist in a way that required them to acknowledge me? Most of the time, you'll realize there's nothing to apologize for. And in those moments, you have a choice. Apologize anyway and reinforce the pattern, or stay silent and let yourself exist without permission. It will feel wrong at first. Uncomfortable, like you're being rude. Your nervous system will scream that you're in danger, that someone is upset, that you need to fix it immediately. But that's just the old programming. The belief system installed in you when you were too young to reject it. You're not in danger anymore. Someone else's discomfort is not your emergency. Their bad mood is not your responsibility. Their lack of consideration is not something you need to apologize for absorbing. You are allowed to exist without being convenient. You are allowed to have needs without feeling guilty. You are allowed to take up space without shrinking yourself into an apology. This is your healing, learning that you were never the problem, that your needs were normal, that your emotions were valid, that the people who made you feel like you were too much were the ones who didn't have enough capacity, not you. You don't have to carry their inadequacy anymore. You don't have to apologize for their failure to see your worth. You are not a burden. You are not an inconvenience. You're not too much. You were just a child who needed things, and instead of being given what you needed, you were taught to apologize for needing it all. Stop confessing to crimes you didn't commit. Stop pleading guilty to the charge of being human. You have been acquitted. The evidence was false. The verdict was wrong. You were never guilty of taking up too much space. You were just surrounded by people who didn't know how to make room. And now you get to choose. Keep shrinking, keep apologizing, keep making yourself small enough to fit into other people's comfort zones, or start existing fully, unapologetically, without permission. The case is closed. You are free. You were always free. You just didn't know you were allowed to stop saying sorry. Now you do. So stop. Stop apologizing for your heartbeat, for your breath, for the space you occupy in this world. You were never the crime. You were always the victim. And now you get to be the one who walks free.